Welcome back, everyone, to Game 2 of the finals of the League of Legends Amateur Open Tournaments. This is Nomad Gaming in the blue corner versus Elite Crew Reborn in the red corner. Start out, we have an Orianna ban coming out, which is something we haven't actually seen much of today.
Yeah, they are definitely trying to get rid of Elite's Orianna there. We have seen how strong they have been able to play that in the past. So definitely a targeted ban coming out from Nomad here.
Yeah, and that's, again, Nomad is going to have to look to respond to Ganbei's split pushing pressure every single game he's been putting out so far. And they did respond to it perfectly in the last game with a mix of globals, a teleport summoner, and just someone who can duel with him in the top lane, as well as a 1v2 lane swap early, just to shut him down as long and as often as possible. Now with the Vayne ban, they still have the Twisted Fate open, so we'll see what globals they leave just to at least try to counteract whatever Ganbei puts out.
Yeah, absolutely. So they are trying to ban out kind of what was detrimenting Ganbei there. The Shen ban did come out. Vayne ban coming out, man, to make sure that nobody gets that. Corki ban coming out from Nomad there. I want to make sure JWN doesn't get his favorite 80 carry. He's been playing extremely well when he does play on Corki. So definitely a smart ban coming out over there.
Yeah, and then the Hecarim ban coming out. Again, just something that they've seen from Elite Crew they don't want to deal with right now. Hecarim was really the only thing that kept at least a little bit of pressure there for Elite Crew last game. There was a little bit of the 1v1 Syndra potential, but it didn't have any real map pressure that they're looking to aid in the Ganbei split push that they're looking for. But Hecarim is one that can just jump all around the map, just be there in response to whatever global pressure is out. But J4 was the last ban here, and they did leave Twisted Fate open to at least try to counteract some split push, and it is the first one being hovered over right now. Not quite locked in yet, but that's definitely going to be a serious consideration just to counter some split pushing.
Yeah, Norm has been playing that Twisted Fate a lot this tournament and has been extremely successful with it so far, showing how skilled he is with that champion. Been helping people win their lanes, applying a lot of pressure, and it has been locked in for their team.
Yeah, nothing quite being hovered over here yet for the rest of Elite Crew. Actually, a Caston being first picked, which actually isn't that surprising because the Twisted Fate was locked in first. Caston very strong in a 1v1 versus Twisted Fate, even though he doesn't really get his full potential unlocked until level 6. Caston notorious for being very weak early game, but he can shut down a Twisted Fate, just keep him in his own lane and prevent any Destinies trying to get any action in the rest of the other lanes. Even then, if a Destiny is popped from Norm, Final Hunt should be able to follow him with the roaming potential that just a Caston alone has. Now a Vi being hovered over, just trying to apply as much pressure as possible. Elite Crew is a team that pressures the map all the time at all points of the game, and both of those are locked in right now.
Yeah, Kassadin, probably one of the most notorious Twisted Fate counters. If he can play it right, he can actually hold Twisted Fate while pick a card is going on. And because of the recent Twisted Fate pick a card nerfs, it actually gives you less time to pick a card. So if you can time that right, you can actually screw Fadishu out of using pick a card, and he won't be able to use it, and you end up just blowing the cooldown and having to wait even longer to actually use that cooldown. Use that skill again.
Yeah, and I'm not really taking the Ziggs hover very seriously right now. The Kha'Zix is actually one of the more contested picks we've seen today. A couple teams have ran it that are looking for single target heavy damage, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's locked in right now. No, it's switched over to Draven. I'm not going to say anything about these until they're locked in. Ziggs, I will say I don't expect Ziggs to be locked in, but it hasn't really been changed out yet, and... Wait for it. Yes, Elise and Ziggs both locked in.
Interesting choice. We haven't seen a Ziggs in this tournament yet. Ziggs kind of that. He's a very push-heavy mage champion. Just kind of has a lot of safety in terms of throwing bouncing bombs, and then able to throw out his ultimate, humongous range on it that can do absolutely incredible burst damage. So in a sense, he can also apply a lot of global pressure. But now I'm very confused because we already have a Twisted Fate. So where is Ziggs going?
I'm not going to really lock this in right now, but because it is on Ponzer tank, it could very well be a support Ziggs.
I wouldn't put it past him, so I'm not going to argue that. But Ganbei gets his turn to pick. Vladimir is open, and he does not hesitate to lock that one in instantly.
Yeah, Twitch is well being locked in there just for that extra lane pressure that the sorry for the JWN has been pushing out so far with his quirky plays. And last game with actually Graves that wasn't really able to put out a lot of damage in that lane or even push turrets that much. He was actually being forced, not really forced back, but prevented from pushing the turret 2v1 against the Shen in that situation. And now I'm really confused where Nomad is going with this. Okay, Ezreal locked in and Lee Sin, so that is I can almost definitely say that's the support Ziggs by now. Lulu locked in for Voodoo, and that is both teams right there. I just want to go back to the support Ziggs because that's what it looks like at this point. There's not really any more swaps coming out. You could say it's support Elise, but yeah, just so much is being switched around right now. I want to kind of hint that it could be support Ziggs just because we saw we saw last game that Ponzer Tank was just trying to at least build a lot of AP in his build, and it's something he actually got away with because his team was so far ahead. If you can throw a champion that actually scales really well with AP in there, use it to zone the lane, use it to get a lot of harassed early, which he gets with his auto attacks and the bouncing bombs, it can actually just be a good zoning potential. It's almost like a support Nidalee in a sense, except you have a bit better of a zoning potential range because you're not minion blocked all the time. And it is solidified. Yes, that is Ponzer Tank on Ziggs with clarity.
Wait, did he actually lock it in with clarity?
He swapped clarity at the last second, yes. So you're a bit behind watching on the stream, but it is clarity.
Wow. Okay. So Ponzer, I guess, deciding to pump out something a little different here. I don't even have words, you know, just I'm just curious to see how this is gonna work.
We will see. It is that is Norn back on Twisted Fate. No surprise there. Squishy running Elise in the top lane against Ganbei's Vladimir, which we've already seen be a devastating monster split pusher. But now we actually have someone to go a little more toe-to-toe damage with that Vladimir. Elise is someone that is just known for being a monster in a 1v1, but this time, if I imagine if iSquishy doesn't get some form of sustain along the lines of a Spectral Wraith or something, he's going to have a very hard time in that 1v1, just because Ganbei can way out sustain him, especially once level 9 or so rolls around. He's going to have so much sustain against Squishy's Elise that it's really not going to be very easy for Squishy to stay in the lane. Now, on the other side, Squishy actually has a lot better burst potential, just because if he maxes his Q first along with Ganbei maxing his Q, then he's going to have a lot more percentage health damage, which actually kind of counters Vlad a bit. Because of that Crimson Pact passive, you get extra health based on your AP, and if Ganbei doesn't build enough magic resist in that lane, say like even the likes of Spirit Visage Rush, then he's going to have a hard time going toe-to-toe with Squishy.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting lane matchup to watch out here. Squishy definitely has a little bit more of an advantage in terms of the early game, just because he can do a little bit better in terms of poke damage, and he can always switch to Spider Farm to keep himself resourceless. So doesn't really have to worry too much about the mana pool if need be. So going to be an interesting thing to watch up there. Ganbei is a very strong Vladimir player, though. Definitely knows how to play his matchup, so we'll see how he decides to play that one out.
Yeah, and sorry, I'm just still surprised by the support Ziggs with clarity. Again, JWN running Ignite on his AD carry. I'm not sure. Did he have Ignite last game on Graves?
No.
For the first time, he didn't run Ignite, and he lost the game. So, actually, that's the first game that Elite Crew has lost all tournaments so far. They've stayed up in that winners bracket, winning every single game. And that's just with JWN running Ignite on whichever AD carry he goes with. Especially actually combined with Twitch and that Deadly Venom passive, I believe it's called. It's just even more true damage burn on top of that can just like melt someone down as they're walking away. Especially if you can get enough Deadly Venom stacks, the Expunge is going to do so much damage. and just mixing those two together is going to do a nice burst and a nice execution.
Alright guys, we are going to be getting into the loading screen. While we have some time, let's take a look at the skin intimidation factor.
Few skins not quite showing up. I only see, actually Pulsefire Ezreal right there. Acolyte Lee Sin, which I call the Assassin's Lee Sin, Assassin's Creed Lee Sin. The hood is similar. And Death Blossom Elise versus Neon Strike Vi. So I think it's really obvious who wins this.
Yeah, Neon Strike Vi, man. Best skin in the game.
No Bloodlord Vladimir. Actually, did Gambit have Bloodlord earlier? I'm not sure.
I don't think he did, no.
This is disappointing. This is very disappointing. The one good Vladimir skin Gambit is not going with, and he's already known as a monster on that champion. So I would say give 2 to the Assassin's Creed, give 3 to the Ultimate skin. So it's about 6-1 as far as skin intimidation goes. I would say
very fair, just because it's an Assassin's Creed skin.
Yes, I like Assassin's Creed a lot.
I do too. But we should be heading into the game here in just a moment. Everybody all loaded up. Gonna be getting in here just a moment. I hope.
Yeah, I'm just surprised at what Ponzer Tank is doing. They're playing out a really cheese bottom lane strategy, but it is a nice poke lane. Like you see Ezreal being just thrown into poke lanes along with something like a Sona or a Lulu to get as much just zone control and poke down as possible. Or even in solo queue, you see support Nidleys all the time, and it's just something that's going to have a whole lot of lane control just from the poke alone. And I believe the clarity is there. It actually helps Ezreal too, because Ezreal, the more poke he puts down lane, and if you end up wave clearing against him, he's forced to use the likes of his Mystic Shot just to secure as many last hits as possible. And he can go out of mana very quickly. That's why you see him paired with Soraka a lot of times. You see the Infuse just used to keep his mana up in lane. And it's a similar thing that's going on here, but the one thing they won't have is an Exhaust or an Ignite in that lane, or even the less common Summoner Heal. The clarity there is just to continue poking. Don't even bother, because there is no sustain on Voodoo Savior. There is no sustain on a JWN until he gets the likes of at least a Vamp Scepter. He didn't even start Doran's Blade. Once again, he's starting with Longsword and Pots, but both teams, wow. It looks like they're
heading over to each other's red side here, so could just be seeing an eventual red swap coming out from both teams. Yeah, it looks like we're just going to end up seeing a red swap. Maybe possible that they're looking for a little bit of a cheese in their red bush. No, yeah, everybody's kind of heading back. Looks like no, sorry, I'm having a little bit of brain fart. Looks like everybody's kind of backing away from that bush there. Nomad heading back over towards their own side.
One thing neither team got was any defensive wards on their own red buffs, and they went to invade. But it looks like Nomad just only invaded for vision, and Squishy is coming.
Squishy actually heading right by, walking by Voodoo there. They do realize now that there is going to be a lane swap though. So yeah, Squishy has been spotted out, going down. They're sending up the AD carry and the support up against Ganbei once again, just to stop him from doing so much early game pressure.
And
actually,
yeah,
it looks like no, Secretic and Ponzer are actually going mid lane. So it looks like they're going to actually be doing their best to shut down this Kassadin in the meanwhile and sending Twisted Fate up top. Now this is really interesting because when Twisted Fate hits 6, since he's not in the mid lane, the only lane he's going to really be able to gank is going to be mid lane. And by the time he hits 6, Kassadin should roughly be 6. And he's going to... Okay, now there's going to be another lane swap going down. Final Hunt actually heading down towards bottom lane to face off against Squishy. So lots of lane swaps going down around here right now.
Yeah, and one thing that actually happens when you end up being forced to lane swap in the early game like this, you lose out on a ton of experience. Actually, Nomad getting counter swap in there. They really want to shut down this Kassadin right now. They do not want him to get ahead. And this point in the game, it's a matter of pick your poison. Which one do you want to shut down more? Do you want to shut down Ganbei and just let Final Hunt explode and get a far ahead and snowball? Or do you want to shut down Final Hunt and let Ganbei be the split pushing monster we've already seen him be? And they picked Kassadin. They're just gonna leave Norm up there on one of his favorite champions, Twisted Fate, and at least try to keep Ganbei off the turret. Twisted Fate is one with a lot of wave clear, so we should at least be able to at least once he can max his wild cards out and get that to level 5, he should be able to wave clear very quickly against Ganbei and keep any turret pressure off.
Yeah, it looks like Secret doing a really good job of managing to keep Final Hunt over at his tower, taking a lot of poke damage from Ponzer and Secret here. Forced to take a couple of tower shots there, but doing a really good job keeping him at his tower, forcing him to miss CS, and trying to keep him behind. One of the things is, if Kassadin is stuck down here in the bottom lane for an extended period of time, he won't be able to roam, and Kassadin is just kind of one of those snowball-y kind of assassin types. He needs to be able to roam, he needs to be able to get those kills to kind of just scale a little bit better into the late game, get a little bit more usefulness in a sense underneath his belt.
JWN caught by a cocoon there in mid lane, but the shield from Lulu wasn't enough just to keep any neurotoxin damage off. Absolutely nothing happened from there. But yeah, I'm going to go down to his bot lane again. Ponzer tank is being just a zoning monster against this Kassadin here. Final Hunt is eating a little bit of damage. His passive, though, is at least keeping a little bit of damage off. Remember, he can stop 15% of magic damage before resistances are even counted. And it's really just keeping off at least a little bit of the poke damage from the Ziggs, who still has not actually popped Clarity yet. He's relying on mana potions just to keep himself able to throw out as many bouncing bombs as possible, which he is, of course, maxing first. He wants as much poke damage. Final Hunt is down now to about 300 health, but Junkie is staying in the wings to see if they're going to try
aggression actually going down onto the mid lane here. Ignite going down to JWN, force the flash away. Repel going down, though. Doesn't manage to get back in range, though. It looks like they're just going to go back onto the farming, and it's going to be forcing JWN to back away from this.
Yeah, Final Hunt, again, taken very low in that bottom lane. Nothing, actually both the Flash and Ignite were forced away from JWN right there, just trying to save his own life. The Repel wasn't actually used to go offensive and continue pushing against that Twitch and killing him off. But he did get out safe, and no first blood yet.
Yeah, oh, there we go. I knew that was coming. There's a pause coming down there. Gonna just be taking a quick break at this moment. Yeah, it looks like Elise is having a having a little bit of some lag issues at the moment, so should be unpausing relatively soon.
One thing we haven't been watching so far is this top lane matchup with the Twisted Fate and the Vladimir. So far, Norm has been actually eating a lot of harass, and really so is Ganbei, but he's able to out-sustain the lane opponent. And really, Twisted Fate isn't something you build a lot of sustain or any spell vamp on. So I can imagine he's going to be forced back really hard, at least until he can get a few items under his belt, or at least a bit of AP to get some damage on the wild cards and force even just force some wave clear against Ganbei. But so far, Fat is looking for something in his top lane. He does go.
Actually going down onto the top lane here. Ganbei getting a little bit of trouble with the Sonic Wave going down, forcing the pool here though. So looks like Lisa is going to be forced to back away here. Did manage to get a little bit of aggression, but Ganbei more than happy to just kind of sustain that back. The wave is going to be pushing towards his side now, so he will be able to sustain back up off that minion wave and hang around. Whereas Norm is now out of mana and very low, so going to be forced to back away now.
Yeah, even the blue card, especially after its recent nerfs, is not able to keep his mana up enough in that lane to wave clear against a Vladimir. So he'll have to go back. He actually ends up buying a second Doran's Ring. Is going for as much early game power as possible against Ganbei's Vladimir, and just he's going to need it, in my opinion.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane here, Fashu actually getting caught out a little bit here. Junkie was coming around there with 5, but does manage to escape himself using that safeguard to a little bit of a faraway minion, getting himself out of the danger zone there.
For some reason, my directed camera is not working. I don't know why, but I am pressing the D button, and for some reason it's just not working. I don't know what the deal is. Spectator bug, but I can make do with it. Anyway.
Actually see another lane swap coming out here, once again. So, JWN and Voodoo have now swapped down over to the bottom lane, and so Squishy has followed them. Down in this bottom lane, whereas Secret Dick and Ponzer are now in this mid lane, once again, trying to zone Final Hunt out, trying to shut him down as best as they can.
Yeah, and again, just goes back to you want to shut down a Kassadin. Final Hunt has actually hit, he's not even level 6 yet, so he doesn't quite have Rift Walk available to make sure he's safe, and he actually opted for a Doran's Ring of his own just to keep as much early game power as possible. Voodoo eating even a couple turret shots there as Tad goes in bot lane.
And Junkie has come here down into the mid lane now, actually, just to try and make sure that Secret can't take this tower away here. Ponzer and Twig are doing a really good job of just keeping this lane pushed against Final Hunt. Final Hunt's still not level 6 at this point. Really close to another minion or two should get him there, and he will be able to use that Riftwalk spell.
Yeah, and with that wave hitting the turret soon, he should be able to hit that. There it is, level 6 Riftwalk. He has just learned that ability and it is available for him. He can start roaming now. Actually, Norm is starting to get a little bit of extra damage onto Gambit in this top lane. Ooh, wow.
Sorry, in the mid lane there, yeah. Now, in fact, Destiny's being procced out. Goldcard going down to Final Hunt. Norm picking up a kill on the Final Hunt. Junkie realizing now he's in trouble, forced to flash over the wall. But two-shot rush going across. Great snipe coming down from Secret Nick into the enemy jungle.
That should possibly even be a mid lane turret here. They do have 3 very auto attack heavy champions. And no, Norm actually backing away to the top lane. He must stop that split push from Ganbei. And that's actually one thing that he's going to have to deal with. He wants to use his Destiny to make things happen across the map. But whenever he leaves the lane, he gives up a lot of turret pressure and a lot of farm back to Ganbei. So far, he's actually managed to keep up and farm with him. And he's down about 10 in CS. But with the Twisted Fate passive, it actually doesn't make too much of a difference if he's only about 10 behind. Ganbei actually trying to go in under turret here. He's probably looking for some kind of an engage here.
Evil Plague actually going down here, doing a lot of damage to RM. Does manage to pick up the kill and using his Sanguine Pool to get away from tower aggro. Now, meanwhile, in the mid lane, a lot of aggression still going down onto Final Hunt. That turret is still standing, only sitting at about 300 health. So it is going to be dropping down extremely quickly here. Vi is sitting over on the corner trying to take that blue buff down. So this should be a free tower. It doesn't look like Final Hunt's going to be able to stop this push from going down.
Yeah, this is the first turret of the game there, and even more importantly, it's in the mid lane. Nomad Gaming picking that one up, and it's going to just give them a whole lot of map control now. Dragon is still up. It hasn't been touched by either team, but I can imagine Nomad's going to look for that very soon. There wasn't even a retaliation Dragon there by Elite as their mid turret was going down. Can't imagine they really could have done it, but it's something they need to look for. They need to answer this mid turret somehow, because and even though the gold is even, pretty much, there's only a 200 gold difference. They need something to get back what they just lost with all the map pressure with that mid turret down. And as I say that, the bot turret is being pressured. Ponzer Tank just alone getting that very low. Polymorph coming out to stop the auto attacks from him, but the turret is already down to about 500 health.
Yeah, Ponzer doing a really good job of pushing out that lane, even though his AD carry isn't there to help him out. Secret Nick is over on the side here, but Flash and Exhaust coming down from Voodoo. Ponzer realizes he's in trouble. JW is only hanging out on the side. Flash coming down from JW, using that spray and pray, and then eventually using that Exhaust, picking up the kill.
Yeah, I think he actually failed to pop that explosive. Sorry, I forget what that ability name is called. I
think it's wow.
Sorry.
Wow. We don't see Ziggs very often.
Satchel charge. He was trying to pop his satchel charge to get away there, but he actually failed it. I think, no, not really in part to the. Actually, no, it wasn't because of the silence from Lulu there. The polymorph was just keeping him from doing that. It came off cooldown as soon as he popped that, and it just prevented him from getting away. Finally, the Expunge taking that kill. But Ashley was down in the spot lane now, trying to just keep that turret push off while Ponzer Tank is dead, and really just keep the lane back where it is, but it's really preventing any of his... Oh, and he goes in.
A lot of aggression go down on the ball lane here. Salt and Banner used on the vanish. You realize now he's in trouble, forced to flash away from that, so that was a flash bird, and then we have another pause.
This is so disappointing when in the middle of a fight pause comes out, but they were disengaging. Actually, it is squishy, still lagging there. We'll see if that gets resolved very quickly. It shouldn't be too much of an issue, and it doesn't pause already. Very short there, not too much of a disappointment. But yeah, ultimate and flash burned from.
Actually going back in here, taking a lot of damage. The poison is taking down a lot of damage here, but he will survive. Secret going aggressive into here, so taking a lot of damage. Actually managing to drop down onto Junkie, and now everybody else is on the run. But meanwhile, the top lane, Ganbei doing a great job, actually managing to finish off. Norm once again, and now getting free reign over this tower.
One of the reasons Ganbei is such a beast on Vladimir isn't because of the sustain, it's because of how well he's managed to manage his own turret aggro when he goes in under turret to kill. He's done that twice already against Norm's Twisted Fate. That's the second death for him, and a turret now down in each of the bottom and top lanes for both teams.
Actually, Ziggs ultimate being used. Voodoo just barely living, just a little bit of health left on him. JW trying to turn down onto the Ziggs here, but Sneaker Dick is here now, so they will be able to walk away from that. So Mega Inferno Bomb has been used.
Yeah, and remember the Mega Inferno Bomb, it does less damage around the outside of that. And it was Voodoo managed to stay at least as close as he could to the outer edge, and it just barely saved his life there by that positioning. Almost an execute, but it is an ultimate down that might actually be very useful in this dragon fight that might come up here. And as I say that, Secret is actually backing away along with the support opponents are tanking. They're going to back off and look to buy up before this dragon starts. Actually, yeah, never mind. It looks like JWN was
now
going in there,
actually ECR are heading over towards this dragon here. It is pink warded, so they do have their own pink ward. Going to be clearing out that ward. Final Hunt kind of scouting around the backside. Actually catches out Ponzer inside of his jungle here. Dropping down the Ignite. But Fanishu is here to try and help out. Final Hunt is in a little bit of trouble here. Doesn't manage to pick up the kill. But the Sonic Wave is going down. He has to force the flash over the wall. Rift Dog was not quite available. Wild Growth used to keep himself alive. And he does manage to escape that.
Yeah, the disengage there from the Wild Growth. Voodoo is very on top of that just to help his mid laner there. Both Summoners burned from Final Hunt, though. That won't be available anytime soon. Dragon's still not taken by either team, but that is a kill onto Final Hunt, who honestly really needed it after the lane phase he'd gone through. He's 10 CS down to his what would be his lane opponent with the 2v1 matchup. That would be squishy on Elise. And he really needs something to get back in. He has no AP. He's just sitting on the Catalyst and really a Doran's blade and boots, and not Doran's, a Doran's ring, forgive me. And just basically everything is sustained in his build right now. He has no damage, and he needs some just to get back into all the denial he got in that early game.
Actually, a lot of aggression going down onto the mid lane here. Fanishu getting silenced here. Flash going down with the assault and battery. Fanishu in a little bit of trouble here, taking a lot of damage. Norm is hanging out on the side here. Doesn't manage to get a great goal guard. Fanishu going back in, taking a lot of damage, but will be able to get away from that. Final Hunt taking a lot of damage too, but uses Riftwalk to escape from that safely.
Yeah, it was very close there. A few Lee Sin mechanics kept Fad alive, just barely. But he did manage to get out. Not even force the flash. It was on cooldown, actually. But, yeah, he did get out safely. A blue buff actually being transferred to Final Hunt now. And on the other side of the map, the blue buff went over to Norm, I believe. Or not, actually. I don't know,
I have no idea where their blue buff is, to be honest with you. I'm looking for it. I have no idea where it is.
I believe Gambit has actually been countering that blue buff recently, because I did see it on him earlier, and I didn't point it out. But he's doing the same thing he did, especially because they are on the red side of the map. It gives Gambit complete control on that blue buff, and that just respawns, especially once that top tier turret is down. And he should probably look to get again soon, because he does have Squishy down to about 2/3 health.
Yeah, we're actually going really aggressive down here. Actually gets cocooned underneath the turret, looking like he really wanted to go in for that kill, but does end up backing away from that one. So
he's going to
continue to do his. Yeah, he does continue to pressure his turret, but he does realize he is now in trouble. Fanishu hanging around the side there, doesn't quite land the Sonic Wave, and he is back to applying pressure on that top lane. He does know that they're doing the blue buff, and is still applying the pressure, telling them to just come at me, I am willing to fight you guys. But meanwhile, his team is currently picking up the Dragon because they know that Blue Sin is too busy taking that blue buff.
Yeah, that's something they just get from putting so many people up there in top lane. Mega Inferno Bomb used to try to pick up the steal, but it's a little too late. Now, actually, they're going in on the spot lane. There is still a turret there for that team. Spray and Pray not quite popped yet to get a little extra range, but they're just trying to get as much pressure everywhere on the map, basically. Norm isn't anywhere close, but he does have Destiny available, I believe. And he should at least try to look for something in the bot lane if they keep pressuring that, but it looks like Final Hunt did back off, and they're not trying to pressure that turret just yet. It's still 2v2 for the moment.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to try and get a little bit of poke down onto this tower. Meanwhile, on the top lane, though, Ganbei still being annoying. Not really able to get a lot of damage onto this turret. Squishy doing a good job of making sure he doesn't really get to touch that turret all too much, but really being able to apply so much pressure up here. The jungler has been forced to come up here several times. Norm has been forced to come up there a couple times too, and so we're leaving so much pressure, and it's working because now the rest of the team is able to clean up and get a couple of objectives out of it.
Ganbei just picked up a needlessly large rod. So, and we haven't even been really looking at the items. We were talking about what he would probably build. Like, he definitely needs some kind of spell vamp item in there just to synergize with this kit. He got the Spirit of the Spectral Wraith, Then he got a Negatron cloak to deal with Elise, but he then, with that one back, he picked up a needlessly large rod, so he's looking for even more 1v1 damage potential. He already has a nice bit of magic resist against the very minimal penetration from the haunting guys, and so far it's working. Obviously, he's out dueling Squishy in that top lane. He's out pressuring him. He's just really forcing him back and continuing that split push that he's known for already in this tournament.
Yeah, already going back up to that top lane, Tides of Blood doing a whole lot of damage already, able to do massive amounts of wave clear already. He has got an immense amount of farm in comparison to the enemy team. He's sitting at about 162, which is about 30 more than anybody on the enemy team has. So that is pretty significant. That is equivalent to at least 1 to 2 kills. So he's pretty far ahead right now.
Yeah, not only is he ahead of his current lane matchup, which 168 to 90, that's just giant in CS alone, but he has 2 kills.
But meanwhile, the mid lane here, Fat actually getting a little bit caught out. Junkie going in, they're using Assault Battery. Final Hunt going in with the Riftwalk, trying to do as much damage as they can. Great Dragon Kick, taking down Junkie here, but here comes Norm, trying to turn things around once again. Norm here to try and save the day. Looks like everybody's gonna back away from this one more time. Yeah, oh, sorry, but meanwhile, Gambe actually hanging around the side here. They see that he's hanging out there, but no, it looks like he doesn't want to go in just yet. Just kind of hanging around the side, being a zoning threat, telling them to back away from my teammates.
And that's one thing you can do with Vladimir, actually. You don't even really have to be a damage threat. Just your presence alone, just in the middle of a fight, can zone out anyone extremely hard. And you can just pop down Hemoplague, be a complete distraction, absorb a lot of damage, and sustain back. But now that Gambe is extremely ahead of everyone on the map, even his own team, he's way ahead. Like, the nearest teammate is about 50 CS below him, and that's JWN in the bot lane, who is actually a CS disadvantage in his own matchup. So, that's just speaking of how far that Gambe is ahead right now. He's actually gonna wave clear this top lane, getting Squishy off the turret. There's a lot of CS going down to that turret right now, but he's just able to keep that turret alive, and it is half health at the moment. He's looking to go on Squishy though. He's just chasing him down this lane.
Yeah, Gambe actually has 2 levels on him. Squishy forced to flash away after Hemoplague goes down. Gambe trying his best to chase him down right now. Squishy taking a huge amount of damage from that small little trade there. Gambe just happy to go back to split pushing, knowing now that Squishy is forced to go back to base.
Yeah, and he didn't even pop any extra damage after the Hemoplague went down. It was an immediate flash from Squishy, and it basically just got him out of there. It got him alive, but it's a flash down, and that's a flash that he won't have to get away next time. Repel doesn't work for getting away as easily because there's no enemy minions to repel to. And there's a lot
of movement down over towards the blue buff here. Fantasy trying to get a Gore jump onto JWN. Buzz managed to get away. A Mega Inferno Bomb being used here. Knockup coming down here. Final Hand hanging around the side though. Does manage to pick up the kill onto Norm. Fantasy forced to run away. Final Hand still trying to catch with that Riftwalk, gets the null field down onto Pones. Are doing a huge amount of damage, but is forced to back away. Meanwhile, on the top lane, Ganbei sitting in a 2v1 situation and keeping them at their tower. 2-shot barrage going across. They're trying to clear out the minion wave in mid lane here. Badisu getting dropped down extremely low. Final One trying his best to catch up. That does manage to back away from that though. He's living with his life, but does lose a tier 1 mid tower for it.
Yeah, no cooldown's quite available there for Final Hunt. He was very, very close to getting Fad killed right there. Not able to quite pick up that kill, but they did get the turret off of that. Now it's 2 to 3 in turrets, Elite with the advantage at the moment. And they're all actually rotating towards this blue buff area, trying to counter it again. Just looking to get, and actually Junkie picking that up in the end. That's the blue buff again on the jungler. Gambe going back up to this top lane, just 1v1 against Squishy. He hasn't left it in a long time. He hasn't backed since he got that needlessly large ride. He's sitting on almost 2,000 gold right now. And finally, it looks like he's going to back off and buy something with all that gold he has.
Squishy doing a lot of damage with that percent max health neurotoxin in her human form now, so Gambe realizes he does have to be a little bit more careful in terms of that now, but is able to sustain a lot of that damage back up. He does have a Doran shield sitting in there, so a little bit of passive health regen on top of Spectral Wraith, and then the spell vamp he has from Transfusion and the Spectral Wraith is keeping him just really able to sustain back up. He went from half health to full health in just 1 minion wave there.
I'm just trying to wonder what he's actually going to get next, because the needlessly large rod isn't something apart from a Death Cap or a
Zhonya's.
Zhonya's,
Goes for the
apparently.
Zhonya's. And a Spectral Cowl on top of that. So he is going to be getting that Spirit Visage as soon as he can here. But no, he did go for that Zhonya's, realizing that a lot of pressure is coming up towards him now. He can use that to kind of do that initiation thing he likes to do. He just kind of runs into the enemy team, doing as much damage as he can, and he realizes that he's being threatened. He pops the Zhonya's. All of a sudden, they can't focus the guy who's standing in front of them. The rest of the team is behind him doing a lot of damage, and it kind of just splits them up. It's a really strong item to pick up on Vladimir.
Yeah, one thing he did lose, though, when he went back for that is his top turret. That's actually 2 invulnerabilities on that Vladimir, with the Sanguine Pool and the Zhonya's Hourglass active. Ooh, Poser Tank actually forced the flash away there. Just to get to safety, not quite getting a satchel charge over the wall, but it is something. They're trying to pinch down onto Secretic right here, but he is able to back away before they can get to him. Final Hunt, you do not get away from a Cassin unless you can back before he finds you.
Dragon is up right now. Looks like the teams are trying to contest it, but Gambay once again in that top lane, being a nuisance. The True Shot Barrage goes down to try and clear up that wave. He is doing a lot of damage, and they know that Ezreal is heading up there, so what do? They turn back on that Dragon. This will be another Dragon coming down for them now.
Yeah, one reason Vlad is actually a decent split pusher, even though he generally doesn't have auto attack damage. One thing a lot of people don't know is that your damage to structures actually does scale slightly with AP. I believe it's something like a 60% or something.
Flash going down from Norm here, trying to get as much damage onto Gambay here. Dropping down, Emo Plague. Poser taken down so low. He won't fall down to the Emo Plague. GG, Norm now taken down extremely low. Double kill going down. Destiny was popped, trying to get himself out of there. Secret get a lot of position to try and kill him now. Gambay doing his best to run away. We'll get the shutdown though. Secret getting a huge amount of bonus gold from taking down Gambay.
Yeah, and the Dragon went down in the meantime as well. And
but meanwhile, the rest of the team is here actually trying to clean things up. Junkie going in with the Assault and Battery right onto Secret. Barrier being popped. Secret to drop down extremely low. Polymorph will keep him from moving. Shutdown going onto the Vi. Squishy now in trouble. Underneath his ultimate. Ignite going down on Junkie. Forcing to back away. Wall growth will keep him alive. And Final Hunt was able to walk away from that one.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, JWN just soloed down Fad right there. The burst damage from the expunge on 6 stack of Deadly Venom was way too much for Fad to deal with. He wasn't expecting it, and as soon as he popped in on top of JWN, he got him very low, but it wasn't low enough. Actually, JWN doesn't have a fully completed item yet. Look at what he's building. He has a Cutlass, he has bits and pieces of a Last Whisper, or a Phantom Dancer, or an Infinity Edge, but I would say he's going for the Infinity Edge first, because that's just what he does. He likes to build for auto attacks first, and that's what he could be doing so far, but there's just a big array of items he's building with. And there's a pause out again, probably squishing.
Probably more leg issues coming out, yeah. So, but yeah, no.
I want to touch on,
sorry, go ahead.
I want to touch on the gold lead, because it seems that although Elite is extremely ahead the way that last exchange went, they got the Dragon, they got several kills for, I think, only 1 death, and that's onto Ganbei. It's only a 2k gold difference overall. The turrets are the same. I believe actually the dragons are the same, or at least similar enough to where they're keeping the gold similar. But then again, I look at the CS on Twisted Fate, I look at the CS on Ezreal, and it's just so much of advantage with the farm alone. Really the only one out farming their opponent in this game on Elite side is Ganbei. Everyone else is losing their lane matchups just in farm alone, and actually slightly in kills too. Somewhat with the exception of the 1 and 4 Twisted Fate, which actually most of those deaths were only to Ganbei, so not too many of the kills going over to Final Hunt in that mid lane matchup, but it's still it's every individual advantage is going to Nomad Gaming, but the overall gold is going to Elite Crew.
Yeah, so it is kind of looking. It's still a relatively even game. The gold lead is only about 2k in the favor of ECR right now, so still anybody's game for sure. But at the rate things are going, Ganbei is doing an extremely good job being able to split push. We did see that he got into a 3v1 scenario and managed to take out 2 of the enemy by himself. No teammates there to help him. And then after he dropped, the rest of his team came down and cleaned up the rest of that fight. So we could see just how strong Ganbei is right now. If he's able to do this 3v1 and come out ahead on it, if the team manages to group up, if Ganbei manages to get that split push down and to get into a big team fight, this looks like it would be really good for ECR by this point.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to the whole thing that the closer you get to the enemy base when you're split pushing, the harder it is to actually split push. One thing, again, Ganbei has not been able to get that second tier turret so far like he has been able to in the games they were winning. He got both of those turrets very low very quickly in the game. Sitting here at 24 minutes, he's hardly even touched that turret. I think it's down to about half health by this point. I can't actually move my mouse over there to look at it because of the pause. But it's... And I kind of touched on it earlier, like, the damage to structures gets a little bit of damage amplification with AP, and like I said, it's like a 60% scaling, I think. Your AP is done to turrets and auto attacks. It just keeps like AP champions able to push down structures on their own, at least a little bit. And yeah, it's part of the reason why Vlad is a little bit more of a split pusher than, say, someone like a Rise is, who actually builds mana instead of AP, which doesn't scale your damage on the structures. But someone like a Vlad is really able to put that split push pressure onto a turret, and even with his passive in there giving me even more AP, it just gives him so much pressure in the 1v1 scenario and the turret pressuring scenario.
Yeah, so Ganbei has now finished... Sorry, 1 second. Ganbei has now finished his Spirit Visage, so he's going to be able to sustain ridiculous amounts off that transfusion. I haven't been able to see how much exactly he's healing up because he is full health. He is sitting here split pushing. Nobody is here to stop him. The entire team is actually trying to push down this mid lane. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to stop him. Mega Inferno Bomb going down to a JDO and taken down to about half health here. So it looks like the siege on this mid lane is going to be starting now.
Yeah, he did actually finish that Infinity Edge with his last buy, and he is the only lifesteal he has is really in that Bilgewater Cutlass. It's not the best amount of sustain, but it's there for extended farming and auto attacking. But ooh, now with the True Shot Barrage, he's even
True Shot Barrage going down. Wild Growth being used to JWN just so he can stay healthy for this fight. Voodoo getting dropped down. He's going to be a little forced to flash away. The turret does go down now. Now they're trying to chase them off though. But Final Hunt does manage to get the slowdown, keep the disengage going. But Gold Card going down at the JWN stuns him underneath his own turret with the Wild Card, be able to finish him off. But meanwhile, once again in the top lane, Ganbei taking down this tier 3 tower now.
Yeah, as long as Elite Crew can keep that pressure off their own mid lane, they should be able to. Oh, and Ganbei is still even putting more pressure on the Squishy right now.
Squishy is only level 14 to Ganbei's 17. Ganbei doesn't care what Squishy does. He's able to sustain anything he does back to him, and he's just taking down this inhibitor.
Yeah, he's taking it down very slowly. Again, even though your damage does scale with AP somewhat, it's not the best damage output. And the rest of Nomad Gaming is all over that mid inhibitor. It'll be 1-for-1 inhibitors, but inhibitors down nonetheless. It does mean something. Ganbei still slowly taking that down, but they should be able to get that before anyone else comes
Minions
back to challenge
him out now. So yeah, he does manage to get the inhibitor, so a top inhibitor down for a mid inhibitor. So in terms of a little bit of a better trade for Nomad Gaming there, they did manage to get that access down to the mid inhibitor, a little bit easier access to the base. Now it's a little bit trickier for them to push anything else down though, because top lane's always going to be pushing.
Yeah, that top lane is not necessarily in the best place for it to be pushing. One thing neither team has actually been putting any effort into is any ward control around Baron by this point, especially with Ganbei pushing in that top lane so much. It's up to Nomad to look for all that pressure and that vision control. And Ganbei is going in. Actually, engaged upon.
Yeah, Ganbei is getting a little bit caught out here. Mega Inferno Bomb going down here. Ganbei using his Ignite here, taking so much damage, able to sustain through all of it. 4 members of the enemy team are here, actually using a transfusion, taking off almost 75% of Ponzer's health. Huge amounts of damage coming down. Ganbei able to walk away from that though. But meanwhile, Vanishu actually getting a little bit caught out here, forced to flash away as well. Junkie actually using Assaulted Battery. Huge amounts of damage coming down here. He's getting dropped down really low with the poison. Final Hunt is here, trying to do as much damage as he can. Ignite going down, will finish off Vanishu.
Yeah, actually that 75% of Ponzer's health was a crit with the Spray and Pray bonus damage. If it has bonus damage, sorry. The Spray and Pray was used, and the Infinity Edge crit was there. That's the point. On top of the transfusion, it just melted Ponzer tank right there. He didn't quite die. He actually did flash away before any other damage went out, but he was able to live. But he ate a ton of damage in the process.
Yeah, so looks like they're just going to be backing away here. Minions weren't quite pushing in their favor in that mid lane. They do have that inhibitor down, so in terms of pushing it for the middle lane, it is a little bit tricky. The super minions are doing a really good job keeping that lane pushed against them right now.
Yeah, and actually the spray and pray does do a little bit extra damage. Only level 2 ultimate there, it gets 28 extra AD on auto attacks. So you can tell how much I play Twitch. So
Oh, gold card actually going down onto Ganbei here, taking a lot of damage actually. Trying to turn this around, doing a lot of damage back to Norm with his transfusion and Tides of Blood, but losing a lot of health in the process here, forced to back away from this as the super minions continue their split push.
Yeah, the super minions are such split pushing that top lane right now. Anyway, now sustaining off the race, he's actually getting back a ton of health between his own spell vamp and the spirit visage, so ton of health back off that. He was just down to about a quarter there, now he's about 2/3 just from one wraith camp. So.
Yeah, so Ganbei getting a lot of health back right now. Transfusion alone. Oh, I can't find him anymore. Where'd he go? There you are, Ganbei. Ganbei's transfusion alone is healing him for about 100 health each time, and that doesn't include what he's getting off of his bonus spell vamp and what he's getting off of the spirit visage. So you can clearly see he's healing monstrous amounts every time he decides to press that Q button. Now in the top lane, we actually see a lot of pressure coming down from Nomad Gaming. Looking like they're going to set their eyes onto this tier 2 tower. The rest of the team is on their way, but Vi is actually heading down over towards the dragon. Look like she's going to try and secure that while the rest of the team holds that tier 2 tower.
Yeah, they might not be able to hold this here. There's the 5-man push. Actually,
Ganbei flashing it with the Hemo Plank, doing huge amounts of damage here. Mega Firebomb going down. Vanishu taking down really low, taking a couple of turret shots. Ganbei dropping down extremely low, popping that zone just to keep himself alive. Was ignited, was able to keep people off of that tower though. Final Hunt chasing down. Ponzer manages to pick up the kill onto him, and the rest of the team is forced to back away, getting really low. JW and actually taking a lot of damage here, getting gold carded. Squishy able to finish him off with the execute on his Q. Final Hunt now in a little bit of a pinch situation here. Ganbei able to pin him up the kill onto Fatasu here. Shutdown going down from Ezreal onto Cassidy. Ganbei now in a little bit of trouble. Trying his best to do as much damage as he can here. Force use Sanguine Pool to back away from that.
The combination of the Cocoon and Gold card is locking down single targets for so long. Ganbei himself was just stunned in position so long he wasn't able to get out much damage and was forced to Zonias and all that. Actually, it was Alta Battery on Squishy.
Solid Battery going down here right now, actually forcing down Squishy, just melting his health bar, and he will drop down immediately after that.
Yeah,
Sigurd actually trying to take down this red ball, but he does have vision, they know he's there. Using Arcane Shift defensively, he does manage to get away from that safely.
I believe that was a 2 for 2 overall, or a 2 for 3 in favor of Elite. I could be wrong. But
I think they got 3 kills. Yeah, that engagement was kind of all over the place. There was kills happening here. People were moving everywhere. A little bit of a confusing engagement.
Yeah, both the inhibitors are going to respawn here, so super minions in both lanes are going to be stopping, for at least for the time being. But they are both still exposed inhibitors. Several pings going down to Baron here from Nomad. They're not really anywhere near it right now, but it looks like they at least want to try to get some vision control on it soon, before anyone can sneak it from Elite and just
propel actually putting himself in a little bit of a dangerous situation here, but gets a ward down onto the blue buff here. Final Hunt knows Ponzer's around. He is a little bit low. Ponzer realizes now he's in a really tricky situation. Final Hunt knows he's there, but look like he's actually going to back away. Mikhail's Crucible being used on Final Hunt to give him a little bit more health and make sure he didn't get gold carded in that situation. So Mikhail's Crucible is down, 120-second cooldown. So gonna be, or 180 actually, sorry, second cooldown. So gonna be down for a little bit now.
Yeah, once again, it looks like Ponzer Tank is just building straight AP support-ish thing. he has the hunting guys in there with the Cage's Lucky Pick. It's a little bit of AP just adding to his poking damage already, but he hasn't really done a whole lot this game. Nothing. He's come close. His AoE and fights has done a little bit, but it's not anything game-changing so far.
Ganbei looking like he wants to go in for an engagement here. Fadus is getting a little bit caught out, taking a lot of damage here. Gold card going down onto Ganbei, taking a little bit of poke damage from the wild cards here. Still hanging around on the outside, trying to do as much poke damage as he can. Is eating a lot of mystic shots and poke to the face, but is healing that back up extremely quickly with that transfusion.
Yeah, but just because of the spell vamp, everyone is throwing all their poke at him, but the one thing that counters poke is sustain, and that's the exact same thing that he has right there. They're able to, at least Ganbei alone is just able to do so much against all the poke that's thrown at him. But especially just between, well, really everyone on that team has poke against him, and it's not able to do much. And Wild Growth actually forced onto JWN right there to
JWN
get
getting
away.
a little bit caught out there, forced to kind of back away. They've set their eyes on this top inhibitor now. They're going to want to force engagement. Wild Growth is down now, though. Oh, they're getting a little bit pinned down in this jungle. Meta Inferno Bomb going down. So you're going to force the flash over the wall there. JWN taking down Shimilo. Hero Plague only hitting 2 members of the team. Soul Battery going down on Norm, dropping him down extremely quickly. Squishy now in a tricky position. Final Hunt coming back in. Your Gambe forced to use Zarya as your double kill going on to Final Hunt. You're going back down onto Secret and trying to do as much damage as you can. Gambe is now falling down over. Final Hunt trying his best to get over back on the wall. Getting a triple kill down onto the Ezreal. Now waiting to get back over to the other side. Lulu managing to pick up the kill onto Elise. And now that is a free inhibitor that they're going to be able to take down.
Yeah, they have the pressure on the inhibitor right now. Everyone on that team is low, but only Fat is really able to contest the inhib right now. Voodoo is staying there, kind of low health, but here comes Fad back with full, and he shouldn't be able to really contest this. He is 1v3, and there really no one on Elite is close enough to death for him to burst down with his tanky Lee Sin build, so don't expect anything too crazy to come from that. The inhibitor will drop, and he does back off.
And they do manage to get that inhibitor attack speed reduction, making it take a little bit of its time. Norm is back up in a couple seconds, looking like they do want to try and use that Destiny offensively. No, they do go back to farming. We'll be able to play this one a little bit passively as ECR goes back. But Destiny is being popped here just to see what's up. He is going to take that to the bottom lane, make sure that turret doesn't fall as well to the minions.
Yeah, that was a giant minion wave there. It looks like there's just some ward control on Baron. None of Elite is really high enough health right now to contest that or start it up and live through it, really. So, especially with Ganbei and JWN down, they don't want to contest that after Destiny was popped. The vision was on them that they were going around that area, but they were really just trying to get wards on it for now. Norm, although the Destiny did give some information for them, but now it's one inhibitor down against none down. They do have actually the advantage now compared to when it was a 1-for-1 trade earlier, but the map pressure is going to be back in Elite Crew's favor. They let Norm split push for now, but those minions are just going to push right back with the extra health that they have with the inhibitor down.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ping is actually going down onto Baron here. There is a little bit of vision coming down, but now they are starting it up. Final Hunt did go over that ward. It looks like Voodoo is going to walk over to the ward. They do get spotted off. Voodoo does have an Oracle, so he is going to clear out those wards. But now Nomad Gaming is aware of what's going on. They are going to back away from this. Two-shot barrage does go across. Final Hunt doing a lot of damage over here. Squishy taking a lot of damage. Mega Inferno Bomb going down here. Satchel Charge placed in the jungle there just to make sure nobody can continue the engagement. But a lot of damage just went down there for both teams.
Yeah, a lot of damage back and forth, especially as the JWN actually is the one that I think he was the one that was first hit by the True Shot Barrage. And you remember, True Shot Barrage deals less damage to each subsequent target hit. With the first target hit, it deals a ton of damage and took JWN down to about half health just alone with that. Should be able to lifesteal his back up now with the lifesteal on Bilgewater Cutlass. Again, his item path is really kind of confusing. He's just getting little bits and pieces. Maybe going for a Trinity Force here, I want to say. I don't know.
Sorry, on who are you looking at, sir?
On JWN. He has a Phage, a Zeal, and an Infinity Edge.
It looks like he might actually be going for that, but actually we do see a lot of pressure going down onto Baron here. True-Shot Barrage going against once again, though. It is only about 50% health. There is a chance for a contest. Fatasu hanging around beside your Gold Card going down onto Voodoo, taking him down extremely low here. He's forced to use Wild Growth on himself. They're still focusing down the Baron here. Gambe is still trying his best. Fata getting in there, doesn't manage to steal it away. JW flashing back in. Hero Play going down. Secret is getting caught out here. Gambe going in, trying to catch up to the Flash going down, using his Hemo Plague and his Tides of Blood to catch back up. Squishy using Repel's expert lead to get back onto the Wolves now. Now Pollenzer is in a little bit of trouble. Using that Mega Inferno Bomb, not doing a whole lot of damage. He will fall down to JWN, and that was a Baron secured now for Elite.
Yeah, with JWN still alive, they can pressure down this mid turret, probably even down to the inhibitor with the Death Timers as long as they are. They should be able to get the second inhibitor of the game. Most importantly, it's in the same lane. They have their own inhibitor exposed.
Yeah, so their inhibitor is exposed, but there is nobody there that's able to get it. They are pushing down these towers extremely fast. Twitch was alive after the end of that fight, so they are coming back in for this. They're going to be able to take down this inhibitor relatively quickly. Elise is the only one up right now, and she is too busy trying to defend the Nexus turrets. Ganbei actually switching over, doing a lot of damage over to these Nexus turrets. Look like they're actually trying their best to finish off this game, but there's only 3 members of them. The rest of the team is actually showing up here. One of the Nexus turrets has fallen. They're switching their attention over to the other one. Fatasu is up here now, and no, looks like they're going to be backing away, happy to take just one of the Nexus turrets away from them.
But one
I think
is
actually
enough.
if they switched over and they went over to the top lane, they might have been able to close out that game just there.
They could have very well, but even it's more important just to help secure a win right now. That they could have gone for that. It was a very risky play because the death timers are already so close. By the time they got to the Nexus turrets, it was already kind of low. They're trying to go in on.
Destiny being blocked here, actually. Gambit getting a little bit caught out here. Does drop his Hemoplague, though. GG Norm getting dropped down extremely low. Will drop down. Huge damage coming down from Hemoplague. Poser dropping down. Huge amounts of damage. Gambit is an absolute monster right now. Now pushing down the bottom lane. Secret is realizing he can't fight this guy. He's pushing down the mid lane, or bottom lane now, and now backing away from that after picking up those 2 kills.
He has a death cap right now. And there is almost no magic resist on that Nomad gaming team. Pretty much the only magic resist that's there, I think. Yeah, the only magic resist there is the locket that I see on the Fad.
He's in on Fantasy, but he has to be nearby for that to work, and he was too busy top lane at the moment trying to make sure that the super minions weren't closing in on them. So he wasn't able to help out with that fight and have the aura item there with them.
Yeah, and now that 2 members are down, that is a bottom inhibitor secured, the final inhibitor of the game. This is going to be near impossible for Nomad to come back from. 3 inhibitors down.
Final Hunt's actually going in strong onto Secret, is taking a whole lot of damage there. Now they're fixing their attention over to this Nexus turret. Gambit doing a good job of zoning them out. Gold card going down, taking a whole lot of damage. Wild growth being used there, using the Sanguine Pull, taking down a lot of damage. Repel being used, trying to keep himself alive. Well, it's Mega Inferno Bomb being zoned out by Gambit. Really well played here. The kick being used, short, shoving blood into the Nexus turrets there, but the Nexus is falling down, and that will be game for Elite. Or ECR. I'm sorry, I'm very tired.
They have forced it into game 3. 1 game to each of these teams so far. The next game does decide the series in week 7 of the tournament. We will see you very shortly as we see the concluding game.